This week, our sky is going to become an alchemical vessel, a crucible. Venus and Mars are traveling through Capricorn and are pressed really close to the sun. They combust the sun and moving into Cazimi to return to completely changed. The sacred feminine and the sacred masculine are riding the sun's chariot, and they will be refined here. By the end of the week, the story will become a visible symbol, even if it's not yet visible in our literal sky. Venus returns as the evening star and Mars returns as the morning star. This is a week of surrender that will strengthen. There'll be dissolution that purifies us, and it's a furnace that forges integrity. Welcome to your weekly astrology for the 5th to the 11th of January 2026. Happy New Year, everyone. In this video, I'm going to walk you through three things. So first, the main storyline of the week, which is Venus and Mars moving through the heart of the sun in Capricorn, the Cazimi. Secondly, we'll talk about what it means when Venus becomes an evening star and Mars becomes a morning star. And we'll talk about that through a Hellenistic lens. And third, a short Hermetic ritual at the end, if you want to. And it's the alchemical operation of Solve et Coagula, to help you embody what the sky is asking of us. As always, this is a mirror. Astrology doesn't remove your agency. It gives your choices and mythic language. So we're beginning this week with that building conjunction, Venus, the Sun and Mars, all traveling within a degree or two of each other in Capricorn. So that combustion will grow into a Cazimi, the heat will be intensified, and therefore the meaning will be concentrated, the archetypal meaning of those planets. And we'll end the week with Venus and Mars again close together, but now carrying a different charge, because they've both been on their chariots, the sun, and have entered a new synodic cycle. So Venus will be returning with a different quality of desire, and Mars will return with a different quality of will. Although both planets remain under the sun's beams for a while and won't be visible in the sky until later, the invisibility is part of an initiation. So sun transformations begin and happen in the dark. The ancients always used to have their initiation ceremonies in dark places under the temples. But that's not because it's secret, it's because it is sacred. So let's have a look at this vessel, this crucible, and that will be Capricorn, because it's going through the zodiac sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn is not just all about ambition. Capricorn is the architecture of life. It's also extremely, Saturn is also a contemplative here. But Capricorn is that structure. It's standard. It's about consequence, karmic consequences, time. It's about integrity. So it's that mountain path that you'll climb one step at a time. So when Mars and Venus enter this furnace of Capricorn, as I've been calling it, because it is a bit like a furnace, and are pressed into the sun, the question then becomes really specific. We need to ask ourselves, what are we building that will still hold true a year from now? What are you maintaining that's not worth the cost? Some things are not worth maintaining. And where is your structure beautiful, life-giving, harmonic? Because it's built on a real foundation, not on a performance, not performative, not the mask. Venus and Mars together, their desire and action, they are about value and will, attraction and courage. And when they're combust, when they're within the sun's heat, it's very easy to feel like something is being taken from us or burned away. But combustion, in Hermetic terms, combustion can be a form of distillation, refinement. So the sun isn't just scorching the planets here, it's revealing, it's illuminating the real essence of the planets here. So this week you might find that refining, you know, the as above, so below. What's happening up there in our sky will mirror down here. So you might feel that refining in relationships, not just love relationships, any relationships. Your boundaries, there may be a refining of your boundaries or of your money and resources. There will also be that sense of worth being refined, burning off the dross of where we lack a sense of worth. Your drive or your will and your devotion to what you say you value, there's a refinement going on there. Now, Capricorn's ruler is Saturn, and Saturn is here in late Pisces, applying to Neptune, moving towards that conjunction that will perfect in February in Aries. It will be in the next sign. So while Capricorn is asking for structure, Pisces is dissolving the old realities, and Neptune will be blurring the boundary between what we hope was true and what actually is. So we need to transpose that onto the things I talked about a minute ago, our boundaries, our relationships, and what we value. This is why this Capricorn furnace matters, because when Saturn and Neptune are at play, many people feel unmoored, foggy, disillusioned, or there can just be this uncertainty there. That sense of the old map is no longer working, the old story isn't holding. But with that fog, Capricorn will be bringing form. Saturn will be bringing form there. So it won't be a rigid kind of form. Think of it as a sacred form, the kind of structure that holds the soul instead of imprisoning it, locking it in. So the action in Capricorn this week is not happening in isolation. It's taking place on the edge of a collective dreaming. Neptune is one of the outer planets, and it's collective. It rules collectives in that sense. If the world is feeling at the moment like it's dissolving, the question then becomes, what is the true vessel you can build within yourself to anchor yourself? So not only have we got the ruler of Capricorn, Saturn, witnessing what is happening over there with Venus, Mars and the Sun in a sextile, a whole sign sextile, opposite in Cancer we have Jupiter witnessing what's unfolding, and this is midweek. So Jupiter is therefore acting as a witness and to a degree an opponent. It's an axis, it's an opposition. So we can look at it like Capricorn being a summit that we climb, with Cancer being that hearth, the hearth and home, that place of comfort. And Capricorn, if Capricorn is a standard, then Cancer will be our needs. And Capricorn has responsibility. Cancer will be that sense of belonging and nurture. Those oppositions exist there to reveal polarities, and polarities are the opposite ends of the same thing. So we have water as ice, and then we have water as steam. So they look completely different, but they are the same thing in different forms. So these oppositions reveal the polarities that are there, and we can work with those. We can bring them to more of a balance this way. So the result of this is that you might feel as though you are standing between two truths this week. So one truth might say, grow up, build it, commit, define the standard. That Capricorn energetic and Saturn energetic there. And the other truth will be saying, soften, protect what's tender, choose what nourishes you. And this is watery Cancer, the moon's temple. But yeah, the Hermetic philosophy, the answer is not an either or, it's integration. So then our questions become, can you build a structure that protects what is tender? Can you pursue an ambition without abandoning your emotional truth? Can you become disciplined without becoming cold? These are questions that we might, be asking ourselves as we look at those polarities. And the other context that we have is we've just moved through the full moon in Cancer, where Jupiter is. And that full moon is that revelation point. It's showing what has ripened, what is ready, and what has been building since the new moon, and that was in Sagittarius 2 weeks prior. So your intentions you set there should be a ripening of those intentions there, but also from the new moon that was in Cancer 6 months ago, it is the fruition of that. What did you intend? What did you work? It is a revelatory point. Full moons, it's the full pregnancy. So this week is not just about forging the future, it's also about harvesting and composting. We need to harvest what's proven itself true, and prune whatever it is that is draining life force, draining our energy, and compost what decays. In every growth cycle, there is a partial decay. So we need to compost that, refertilize the earth so something new can grow again. Why we are harvesting, pruning and composting is because the Capricorn work is moving towards a fresh new seeding point later in the month, and that is the new moon in Capricorn, I believe on the 18th of January. So if you're feeling endings this week, understand that they're not only endings, they're a preparation. We have fertile decay going here, and we can look at it as a sacred pruning. Now, I want to have a look at one key idea because it gives this week its mythic spine. In Hellenistic astrology, a planet's phase relative to the sun acts like a costume change. It's the same planet, the same deity wearing a different mask. So when a planet rises before the sun, it's called the morning star, and when it sets after the sun, it's called the evening star. So it's not just about the astrology, astronomy, it's also symbolism. It's describing how the planet expresses itself in the world of form. There's an astrologer, astronomer, and he was various other things, Greco-Roman, called Ptolemy, and he's very explicit about what in this expression shifts. He says that the morning star planets take on more of a masculine mode, and the evening star planets are going to be taking on a more feminine mode. So it's not about gender, it's about, again, about polarity. So we have Venus in her feminine mode as the evening star, and then we have Mars in his masculine mode as the morning star. So that masculine mode is initiating, it's projective, it's direct, it's outward action. And the feminine mode of Venus is receptivity, magnetic, drawing inward. So here's the heart of the week for us. Venus, after passing through the sun, her Cazimi, begins her evening star cycle. And Mars, after passing through the sun, is beginning his morning star cycle. So even though we can't see them in our literal sky for a while, we'll feel them in our psyches. They're archetypes, they're the gods, they reflect in our psyche. And our psyche in Greek was the word for soul, because the phase they are in is an archetypal instruction to us in that sense. So let's have a look at Venus first. So she is the evening star, and we can think of her like dusk Venus, you know, that beautiful liminal dusk time that we have. She's like a temple lamp, you know, a lamp lighting up the temple, the one who draws people closer by that warmth and not by force. She's like the moths coming towards the flame. Okay, she's an attractor force. Here, in this position, Venus is becoming more receptive, more magnetic, and more harmonizing. She's not chasing after. She's calling, she's drawing, okay? She's asking things like, what sort of atmosphere are we building between us? And what is it that feels beautiful, nourishing, and worth returning to? What's the quality of the container? So Venus as evening star is seeking to make harmony a craft. She's crafting harmony here. She's bringing beauty that's got bones, beauty with spine, and a devotion that she will be expressing through consistency. So it's shared values made tangible. So if we have a look at how she might show up this week, it might be as simple as a desire to clean up and beautify your environment, to refine commitments, or to choose relationships that are mature and mutual. You're getting that mutual exchange from them. And to stop pouring beauty into places that can't hold it. If Venus is speaking through you or someone else, she may be asking for us to stop begging for love, stop any manipulations, and start building a life that love can live inside. That will be her message to us. Then we got Mars as morning star. So he's, I mean, the sunrise, he's the daybreaker. He's the forge that I've been talking about being stoked, the wheel that goes first. He doesn't hint. He's not going to bring in little hinty things. He's going to be direct. He initiates Mars as the morning. So he's bringing that first honest move and the first no, not doing it. He's that clean boundary. He's courage, and that is visible. That courage is visible, and it's action that just doesn't wait for someone's permission. And because Mars is in Capricorn and he's exalted there, it's not going to be chaos. It's not chaos he's wanting to bring. It is an architecture that he is wanting to build here. Mars in Capricorn is Mars the builder. So the questions you might be asking, or that he's asking of you, is what is your standard? And where does your discipline leak? Is it procrastination, distraction, or something else? And what do you tolerate that is quietly corroding your integrity? So he's not here to start aggression and conflict, or, pointless to and fro in battles. He's here to stop the slow violence of avoidance. Okay. So he's here to do build some beautiful architecture here. So if Mars is speaking through you this week, he might be asking you to take one decisive action that is going to protect your future self, not like half a dozen actions, just one. This week is carrying with it a particular relational medicine, and it's going to be delivered via Venus as the evening star and Mars as the morning star. So Venus is like, I said, that lamp in the temple, the lantern at dusk, and Mars is like sunrise steel, like that sharp steel blade. So it's a simple instruction. It's a soft invitation, Venus, and firm action, Mars. So if we look at it like that, we can put the two together. We can unite the two in sentences. There's one clean sentence from Mars. So it may be something like, I'm not available for this. Or it could be, I need consistency. I want to talk about it today. This isn't working for me. So they're the kinds of questions that Mars is empowering us to deliver this week. But then Venus, if you allow her to speak through you, secondly, she brings that relational seal. So, if you're saying in a Mars-like way, this isn't working for me, Venus will add the seal by saying, and I also care about us. So here's what we could do that will feel good instead. Or she may say, here's how we can go about repairing. Here's what I'm choosing because it honors my values and our connection. So if you're dating, if you're in the dating world, Mars is sending the message and Venus is setting the tone to that message. If you're partnered and you've got more relational depth, Mars might be bringing this truth, and Venus will make that truth survivable. She'll bring the warmth to make it survivable. So it's that kind clarity and wise warmth that we're needing this week, and that is available for us. So it's allowing our love to be a welcome and our boundaries to be a blessing. And collectively this week, the weather for us, it looks like it looks like sunrise decisions, bright, clear, clarity in our decisions, but it's inside a dusk lit social world. So we got those two, the brilliant sunshine and the liminal space of dusk in our social world. So Mars, the morning star, brings that catalytic action. So we may have identity and boundary politics, first moves out there in the world. There could be things like strikes, campaigns, and bold declarations, public declarations. But there's a sense that our collective nervous system wants a resolution. We have had so many years of meetings, discussions, promises that have not been seen through. And our collective nervous system needs things to be resolved. We need a conclusion to so many things. So they're the kind of things you may see out collectively. And Venus, she'll be bringing the question of values or cultural values, aesthetics, that sense of belonging, and what we're gathering around and what we deem worth preserving or fighting for in that sense. So we might see standards hardening into shape instead of never-ending discussion about what needs to happen to make it collectively good for us. We may find some shapes and policies, some moves. There may be karmic consequences arriving, but also that longing to restore beauty around us and meaning. And not by way of an escapism, but to nourish the whole. So in Hermetic philosophy, the sky is a mirror. So if the outer world is feeling strict, make that inner standard you hold sacred. Ask yourself, what needs to be named today before it calcifies into resentment? That's very Mars-like. What deserves commitment, not just desire, with our Venus? And Capricorn will be asking, what sort of structure, what sort of architecture will hold your future without costing your soul? So let's have a look at the alchemical ritual. You can end watching here if you're not into your ritual, but it is interesting. Solve Coagula is surrender, dissolve to unify. So it's an alchemical operation. So we are dissolving what is false and uniting what is true. And we can use the moon's passage as it wanes for our pruning and our composting, okay? And then using the fruit to make our jam together. So it's this week, the dance here in the sky is clear. Mars morning star is bringing that incision, that cutting off, and Venus evening star is sealing that. She's sealing the deal with that warmth. So here's a simple 3-step rite that you can do, a rite of passage in 5 minutes. If you want the full rundown on it, nip over to soulsymbols.co.uk, because I have the whole process there and it's a bit more fleshed out. But for the purpose of the video, step 1, solve, Mars. Speak one sentence, one breath, not flowery, poetic, but just truth. Choose one. Choose one of these. The truth is, fill in the blank. I am no longer available for. My boundary is. What must be changed is. Okay. And now name what you're dissolving. The foggy contract, the silent scorekeeping, the false peace, which might look like escapism or avoidance, the pattern that you've outgrown. And when you've identified these things, say, I surrender my attachment to keeping the old form. Then we have step 2, release. Ask yourself, what have I been trying to control through a pattern? What emotion have I been trying to avoid through a pattern? That can sometimes look like avoiding conflict because it brings up the emotion of fear. So avoiding that direct speech that Mars is requiring us. But have a look, what emotion have I been trying to avoid through a pattern? What truth have I been waiting for someone else to speak first? So breathe it out slowly. Whatever that is, breathe it out slowly and let the old shape soften. Okay. And step 3 is that coagula, the Venus, the united. Speak the second sentence here. This is the union, the seal on the deal. So the second sentence, what I truly value is, fill in the blank. What would feel good and sustainable is, how I want to repair and reconnect is, the agreement I will keep is. Then make it tangible. Make all this tangible. One agreement, if this is relationally, one agreement, one ritual. So, for example, we could be saying, we confirm plans by a set time. That's very tangible. And if we need to reset schedule, we choose a new date immediately. It's very practical and very simple and very powerful, all these things, because it confronts us with things we don't want to do. You know, if we have a fear of asserting ourselves, or we're not used to asserting ourselves or expressing our voice, these can be difficult things to do. But they're simple in the sense of, you know, if we look at what's going on within us and then we make these tangible choices. And it is because, you know, Venus evening star doesn't unite by chasing. She unites by creating attraction, a force of attraction. And Mars morning star isn't surrendering by collapse. He's surrendering by stopping the leaks. So when you've done this, write 2 sentences. That this is Saturnian and simple. The standard is, and I will honour it by. And remember, Capricorn doesn't ask for perfection. It's asking for integrity. So that's your week. Venus and Mars in the Capricorn Furnace, distilled in their chariots, the sun's chariots, and reborn into new phases. We've got steel first of Mars and the velvet of Venus afterwards. So truth first and tenderness second. If this resonated, please like, subscribe, share it with someone who's learning how to build a life that can hold their soul. And until next time, keep your standards sacred and your heart well housed. All right, bye-bye. I'll see you on the next.